Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to today's broadcast. Our guest is Edison Guzman, owner of A&E Advertising and Web Design. He's also a SCORE mentor. Edison's firm builds custom websites and implements marketing strategies that help businesses attract more customers, convert them, and keep them so that the business grows. Welcome to the show, Edison. It's great to have you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So today we are going to discuss how business owners can grow their business by tapping into the $1 trillion Hispanic market. Now, that's a pretty big market, Edison. Why are business owners not going after this particular market?
Well, to tell you the truth, Janine, a lot of business owners are going after this market, but only the big boys are doing it, not the small business owners. The way I've been helping with small business owners over the last 20 years or so. One of the reasons is that I think one of the biggest reasons is the budget, how much money they have to spend on their marketing. They're not really aware how big that market is. I mean, like $1.5 trillion is a huge amount of money that you can tap into. And the Hispanic market is just one of those markets that some people don't see much value in, but the ones that do realize it, they're going after that market, very, very hard.
So then for a small business owner or someone who sees that there's a potential or value there, how would you advise them? What steps should a business owner take to get into this market?
Well, one of the things that they should do is first identify whether they should be in the Hispanic market or not, okay? Just because it's a big market, it doesn't mean that you should be in it. If you are, let's say, if I'm a small business owner, my company's advertising and web design, right? If I want to niche myself into the Hispanic market, maybe you want to niche myself to only the Spanish-speaking Hispanics. Okay, because as we all know, most Hispanics are English-speaking and Spanish-speaking. Some don't even know the Spanish language too well. So you really can't advertise to those individuals. But if I niche myself out to the Hispanic market, and let's say I'm in web design, my advertising is going to be specifically niched to that segment of the population, which means that I'm going to speak about building a website in Spanish for other Hispanics, okay? And then you have all the different types of Hispanics out there, the different dialects out there, the different cultures out there, which makes it just a little bit more difficult for people to target. But if you're a small business owner, your budget's going to be small nonetheless. So you just simply choose which Hispanic market you really want to target. And like right now, for instance, the Mexican market is the largest market out there. It's 64% of the Hispanic population. Just the second largest is the Puerto Rican market. Okay, and that's 9.3% or 9.5% actually. So just knowing which niched market to go into is the very first step. And then after that, it's just knowing whether you're going to advertise to them in Spanish, English, or a hybrid of both.
So if let's say I'm in a business that I know that they could utilize my services. If they're a business owner, or if they're someone that would be interested in my services or my products, but I have everything set up in English because that's what I know. Instead of building like a whole new website, because like you said, with some small businesses they don't have the great big budgets. How would you just then like maybe do one page that's in the Spanish language? I mean, how would you do that? So, and maybe one landing page or one commercial, how would you set it up so that you're not losing your English market, but right. Now you're going to go, okay, let's go to the Spanish speaking market and see if they would,
right.
they would want to come with us.
Right. Well, one thing that you should consider is, of course, if you're going after the Hispanic Spanish-speaking market and you want to put a page on your website, specifically for the Spanish-speaking client, I wouldn't just do one page. What I would do is I would use tools like the Google Translator tool that can translate to any language you like. It's not 100%, unfortunately, but it will convert any text part of your website will automatically convert it to Spanish, for instance. The correct way of doing it, of course, is to hire a translator to translate the entire website into Spanish, so that you don't insult anyone's intelligence, of course. But the minimum you can do, because you have a small budget, is just put a Google Translator on your website and just identify that you have a button on there that says, if you'd like to read this in Spanish, of course say it in Spanish, but you're going to say, if you'd like to read this website in Spanish, click here, and then it'll translate into Spanish. Now, one thing that's very important, you just don't want to have that on there. When you're advertising to individuals and you want to advertise, let's say, only to the Spanish-speaking market, there are ways of doing that through Google and Facebook, for instance, on a pay-per-click level. So your ad should be in Spanish if it's going to a Spanish page, or it should be in English if it's going to an English page. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So if I am doing an ad in Spanish, and let's say I go, okay, let's keep it simple because all I know is Mexican, Mexico. Right. I don't know about Puerto Rico, Guatemala, Colombia, Venezuela. I don't know about those. I know Mexico because I'm in California. That's all people talk about is Mexico. So I want to go out after the Mexican speaking. And like you said, because there are different cultures and dialects that go along with the different South American countries, but I am, new, and I go, okay, I want to go after Mexico. One of the things you mentioned is you don't want to insult someone when you are creating the page. And I know from my own experience that there, the different cultures, there are different words mean different things, and so forth. So if I budgeted and I said, okay, I need to hire someone who can do this ad for me in Spanish, or do my landing page in Spanish, or if I don't translate my whole thing, but I do want one page that isn't Google translated, that it's specifically spoken in their language, how do I then find someone? Because like you can say, I speak Spanish, I understand the language, but you're from Colombia, right? And so you might not necessarily be the person that I want doing it because maybe you're not understanding the Mexican vocabulary of the language. So how do I find someone? I mean, me as a business owner, how do I research to make sure that I am hiring the right person? It's like I'm assuming I don't want to go on Fiverr and just say, who speaks Spanish? I want to find someone specifically that speaks to that dialect and that, that language, that culture.
Yes, very good question. One of the easiest things you can do is you can go to elance.com, for instance. It's one of those websites where you can hire many different types of individuals. And if you go to elance.com, guru.com, odesk.com, any of those websites that have thousands upon thousands of people who will do graphic design, web design, translations, or anything of that nature. So what you do is, and even Fiverr.com, if you know how to work it well enough, but all you have to do is be as specific as possible when you put in your project, and you have to say, I'm looking for someone to translate X number of words, always say 1,000 words, 600 words, whatever it is. I'm looking to someone to translate 1,000 words into Spanish, but with the Mexican dialect. So as long as you're very specific as to how it is that you want someone to translate it, you have someone who they don't even need to be Mexican in order to speak the dialect correctly. There are many people out there who can do that very well. However, when you indicate that there, you'll know that the person that you're hiring to translate it is someone with, that can do it right for you. Now, how do you know if that's the right person? Because these websites allow individuals who have hired those people in the past to rate them. So let's say you hire someone, you put the project out there, and someone replies. that person that replies, that says, yes, I'll take on your project, you can simply look at their portfolio and say, oh, okay, other people have rated this person, saying that they are great at doing whatever it is that they say that they're great at. So you're not just taking it for granted, or you're not just taking it on their word that they are good. You're looking at the pretty much anyone else that has hired that person in the past. So it's a very good safeguard to make sure that you're hiring the right person.
Okay. That sounds like a good way to research it and figure that out. Thank you for that. The next question I have for you is that how do I determine that I should be? I would assume that anybody would want to go after this particular market, but how do I determine for myself that my services or my products would be something that the market would say, oh yeah, we do want that? Is there a way to kind of do my research to determine if I should put my resources into that marketplace?
Well, in all honesty, again, because we don't have much of a big budget, okay, there are a few things that you can do to research whether people are reacting to certain ads or not. And like Facebook, for instance, is one of the biggest places. You can go to Facebook Insights, for instance, and you could Google that to find out and go directly to the page, or go right into page Facebook and just search Insights. And when you do that, you will find, let's say that a big website up there, or a big company that caters mostly to Hispanics, right? You find our page on Facebook, and then you go to Facebook Insights, and you put in for their insights to tell you and break down specifically what type of individuals go to that page, who visits that page, what their great age group is, which organizations they listen to, which TV shows they watch, which books they read. All of that information is readily available free of charge right on Facebook, and that's just one of the tools you can use. What I started saying was, honesty, even if you do all that research and you find that the age group is this, and they own X number of cars, or they drive this or they drive that, even after you do all that, the bottom line is this, okay? We're all humans, okay? We all have similar psychological buying triggers. Whether you're Hispanic or you're not, you're going to want to create a know, like, and trust. In other words, you want people to know you, like you, and trust you. If you advertise in a Hispanic publication, for instance, and you know that the people that read that publication are Hispanic, of course, then you would advertise in there if that's your target market. But you still have to build a know, like, and trust. In other words, if they go to the website, you have to have a website that's specifically in Spanish, in their own language, of course, their own dialect. If you don't have the budget to do that, and there are plenty of publications out there in Spanish, you can go to justmediakids.com, for instance, and at justmediakids.com, what that is a website that gives you all the media kits of all the magazines that are, in the U.S. What you do there is you search for the magazines that cater only to the Hispanic population, and then it'll give you the media kit to that magazine. What the media kit will contain is what the age group is, what where that segment of the population resides, who reads that magazine, where are they, and everything else. So that's more research that you can do on that as well. But again, you still come down to, we're all humans. We all have psychological buying triggers. You just need to identify your target market and create a know, like, and trust. And know, like, and trust is just getting people to know you, like you, and trust you by you communicating to them in a way that, they'll understand.
Okay. That makes sense as well. So I want to move on, because you mentioned something a little bit earlier. You mentioned that, the big guys are going after this market because they recognize it. But you said that other business owners don't go there because they don't see it as a marketplace that they can make any money in. So what is this misconception for a business owner to think that the Hispanic market is not viable for their business?
No. I apologize if I misspoke. It's not that they don't see that they can make money at. is that they may not have the budget to approach and go after that specific market. For instance, Coca-Cola. Okay, let's take them as an example. When they advertise to the masses, right? But then when they advertise to the Hispanic population, they have maybe a soccer game that someone is playing, which is huge in the Hispanic market. They may have Spanish heritage, like Spanish family in there. Having fun, and maybe they have salsa in the background, or they have something like that. That's obviously going after the Hispanic market. Now that just means that they're going after that particular market, even though they're going after the entire U.S. as well, or even worldwide. Okay, other companies, the way that they handle it when they have millions of dollars to advertise is that they take a slice of their budget to divert it into the Hispanic market, for instance, because there's a huge market out there. Okay, us, the small business owners, we don't have such a large budget, so it's not something that you shouldn't go into. It's just that we may not have the budget to go after everyone and the Hispanic market. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it does. So, I mean, are there any misconceptions about the Spanish market that people have, when they're going to delve into it or not? I mean, are there maybe stereotypes or something that aren't true, so you should avoid that when you're marketing to the Spanish market?
Yes, the biggest misconception that I know is that Hispanics don't spend any money. Okay. And a lot of people think for whatever reason, they're all poor, they don't have money. But according to the Gallup Daily Tracking, back in 2014, they did a poll, and they said that Hispanics spend an average of $96 per day. By comparison, all U.S. adults spend an average of only $90 a day. Okay, and non-Hispanic blacks spend an average of $87 a day, and non-Hispanic whites spend an average of $88 a day. So we're talking about $96 per day versus $90 for all U.S. adults, and that's only second to the Asians, that they spend an average of $95 per day. So that $1.5 trillion, which by the way is projected to be about $1.7 trillion in a couple of years, all of that money is being spent within the Hispanic market. So the misconception that they don't have any money to spend, or that they spend it on frivolous things, that's the biggest myth you're ever going to find. Okay, Hispanics love to put money. They like to save. They like to spend money. They like to shop, and they like to do all the things that all of us like to do. So if anyone thinks that there is no money in there, trust me, there's plenty of it. You can ask any attorney that goes up to the Hispanic market to help, let's say, to get naturalized or to get the papers or anything like that. You know how many attorneys are out there that do that? Huge lucrative business right there. Okay.
Yeah.
They obviously advertise in Spanish to the Spanish-speaking population, and in English to catch those individuals who are in the country who only know English but are not naturalized. And that's
right.
Why I said before, you can't just simply go after the Spanish market in Spanish. You should really have a hybrid of both.
Right. Well, this is really a fascinating topic. It really makes you think that this isn't an area that should be ignored by a business that can budget to start going after them and attracting them to them. And I just want to thank you, Edison, for taking this time to educate us on this. Mm-hmm. But now I want to learn a little bit more about you. I want you to tell our audience, what attracted you to advertising and web design, and what attracted you to being a marketing strategist.
Oh, that's a good question. And what attracted me to this, about 20 years ago or so, I used to be in financial services, and I found that I was a lot better at marketing myself than actually selling. So I would generate a lot of leads for not just myself, but the other agents in the office. And I just gravitated to that more and more and more. And over the years, what I started doing was I started helping business owners market themselves better. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that there are different psychological triggers that make people buy, okay? There are different messages that when you communicate correctly with individuals, that people will actually give you money in exchange for their products or their services. And that's pretty much all what it's all about. I found over the years, and what my company does right now is we use the internet to to communicate with the right people that are willing to exchange their currency for your products or your services. And we do that by putting websites together, internet marketing strategies together, or even traditional marketing strategies together that will enhance your business's, communication in order to get people to, again, either generate leads or to, buy your products or service. And we use a lot of, again, I keep going back to psychological triggers only because it's in any market. For instance, like fear of loss, like when you have a little coupon that says this expires on July 1st, you know that the person is going to use it before July 1st, which means that it's going to get the person to come and buy something from you faster than they would have normally. That's why you get all these coupons and all these offers ahead. That's a psychological trigger. Testimonial, for instance, is social proof. Another psychological trigger. Testimonials tell other people, hey, this person knows exactly what they're doing. You should hire them or buy their product because it's going to do X, Y, Z for you. All right, choosing the right colors even. We've learned over the years that if you don't use the right colors on your business card, on your website, even in your car, whenever you pull up to a client, if it's a service-oriented business, that'll turn you off. And if you're in the wrong market, in the right market with the wrong color, that will turn people off as well. So all of these things just fascinated me. And the more I learned, the more I could help my clients. And the more I learned, the more I figured that I can grow companies much faster. Now, one thing that happened was that my rates started getting higher and higher. The more people, wanted to hire me because I became, less and less time available. So one of the things that I do for individuals that can afford my higher rates is that I volunteer for an organization called SCORE. And through SCORE, that's a national not-for-profit organization, I volunteer 100% of my time, 3 hours a week, where anyone can come in and I can consult with them and tell them how they can grow their business or go into business even if they haven't even approached that yet. So between all of that, we pretty much have grown a nice little business here. We're in the New York area, and, we're always just trying to help.
Well, that's awesome. That's cool the way that you got into it and how much that, you really have focused in on some of the little things that a lot of people don't think of when they're strategizing for their business on, what to do, how to look and such. And that's really cool that that's kind of been your thing that you've honed in on. So for our listeners to reach out to you, how can they contact or connect with you?
The easiest way is to go to our website. Our website is aeadvertising.com. That's aeadvertising.com. And when you go there, if you want, you can actually put in your information and get a free report that I give to people. It's 10 ways to attract customers. And this is pretty much some of the things that we've discussed here. I go a little bit deeper into that in depth there. And they could just get the email. Everybody loves it that signs up for it. And if you ever get bored of it, you could always just unsubscribe, remove yourself from the list. But we have a lot of information there and right there is my phone number, my email, and everything else.
Cool. So for anybody that wants to contact you, they can go to aeadvertising.com, which is A as in alpha, E as in echo, advertising.com. And there they can contact you either via email or through phone, as well as they can sign up to your 10 Ways to Attract Customers. That's what it's called, correct?
10 Ways to Attract More Customers, yes.
More customers. And they can sign up for that email series where you go more in depth about some of the things that we talked about. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing everything. And I want to say on behalf of myself and our listeners, Edison, you have been wonderful with the information that you've provided to us today.
Well, thank you very much, Janine, for having me on today.
Definitely. And I also want to go out and thank all of our people who have tuned in to listen to us today. I want to say have a wonderful day. Now go out there and take some focused action for moving forward in your business.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.